Yes, folks, it's Tales from the Jails with John G. Sutton. Do please like and subscribe. And there's a link to my new book down there, HMP Manchester Prison Officer Part 3. Written by me, by the way, John G. Sutton. Yeah, I'm going to talk today about the cruel and unusual punishments that were administered to prisoners in the prison service prior to the Prison Act of 1952. Anyway, basically, they used to be able to sentence inmates to being flogged. This was the prerogative of the governor, and you would be placed on orders by the charged, effectively taken before the court, but it would be a court run by the governor, and you'd as a prison officer would place the inmate in front of the governor and charge him with an offence under prison discipline. And for certain offences you could be sentenced to be flogged. That would be involving a large stick with various branches like a birch. You'd be birched, which is birch twigs, and then you'd be whipped. You have your shirt taken off, you'd be backed, and you were strapped onto a triangular with your arms out like that, your shirt removed, and the punishment was usually administered by the physical training officers, who were, generally speaking, strong, healthy, strapping young men who would administer whatever number of strokes that you'd been sentenced to. Usually 6. You get 6 lashings of the birch. And I believe that it was extremely painful. I didn't exactly experience it myself, but certainly once you've been flogged, then you didn't want it to happen again. But there was one particular inmate who was flogged twice during his terms of imprisonment, which were considerable, and that was Mad Frankie Frza. He was flogged twice. That's chained up, strapped up to the frame, and shirt off and whipped. But it didn't teach him anything, because he was still a violent prison mutineer who attacked staff. He attacked one prison officer, I believe it was in Durham, and smashed a metal chair, into the back of the prison officer's head, which damaged his optic nerve, and the officer was blind thereafter. That's what a nice guy Mad Frankie Frza was. Yeah. He'd also spent the time of World War II, instead of going out fighting against the Nazis, no, he didn't do that. He broke into people's houses and stole their property. Whilst the husbands were away, he robbed the women who were sheltering from the bombs in London, in the underground or wherever, and he stole the property. That was a hero, don't you think? A modern day hero, yeah. But people seem to think that Frankie Frza was something of a celebrity. He ended his days doing tours of the East End villas, showing people round pubs like the Blind Beggar, where the Cray twins shot people dead. Come on. I mean, who in their right mind holds these kind of low-life creatures up as examples to society? They are an utter disgrace. Anyway, I can tell you for certain that Frankie Frza was flogged. I was the officer in charge of the records department at Strangeways, and those of you who doubt that this was the case, some people post up here questioning my authority to speak like this. But do have a look at the 1979, filmed in 1979, documentary from the BBC, Strangeways, and in episode 3 titled Screws, you'll see a scene there which shows me in the records office. That was the Central Records Office for Strange Ways Prison. At the time it was all paper and pen, and all the records were handwritten, and most of them for a period of 18 months written by me. Yeah, so you'll see that. So that's, people say, how can you verify this? Somebody's accused me of fairy stories or something. Believe me, I was there, I did it, there's documentary evidence, World in Action, Panorama, you name it, I've been there and done it. Also, another cruel and unusual punishment was bread and water. The sentence, you would get that by the governor. You could be put on 7 days, then you had 7 days off. It could happen again, you see, if you didn't start to fall in line with the regime and behave yourself in a reasonable manner as an inmate. Then you could get stuck down the block on segregation there. Yeah, it's called non-associated labour. You be down the block and you get a loaf. You get a loaf weighing 1 pound of bread and a jug of. We could have as much water as you wanted, but usually it'd be like a couple of 3 litres of water a day, and you'd be allowed out to the toilets and all that. But you were, generally speaking, stuck on bread and water. Frankie Frza, once again, he had been sentenced to that numerous times. But then again, he was insane. Absolutely. I met him. He was a deranged little bastard, and I wouldn't allow him behind me, in front of me. I keep my eye on that man. Dangerous. He attacks from behind, you see, because he's only about 5'4", Frankie Frza, you know. Probably weighed about 11 stone, but he was not very big, but very dangerous. And if he crossed his path, then he'd get you from behind, not from the front, because he wasn't big enough, you know. If you came from the front, you'd snatch him like that, uplift him, and terminate the bastard. But basically, that's what he did. So that was the kind of punishments that were administered to inmates under the Prison Act. And they were carried out by the staff at the direct orders of the governor. So it's that time of day, folks. Anyway, thanks for watching. People are running for the hills now. Have you read my book? Did I mention it? Yeah, there we are, that's a song dinger. I'll sing you a song, eh? As I say, I've been collecting old Elvis 78s. I've got 29 of them now. 29 old 78s. Right, this is one of his early ones from 1956, I think it was. I forgot to remember to forget you. I can't seem to get you off my mind. Something like that. Anyway, here's a poem. And seeing as it's April, I'm going to read you Home Thoughts from Abroad by Robert Browning. You'll recognise this poem when you hear it. Oh, to be in England, now that April's there, and whoever wakes in England sees some morning unaware that the lowest boughs and the brushwood sheaf round the elm tree bole are in tiny leaf, while the chaffinch sings on the orchard bough in England now. And after April, when May follows, and the white throat builds and all the swallows, hark, where my blossomed pear tree in the hedge leans to the field and scatters on the clover blossoms and dewdrops at the bent spray's edge. That's the wise thrush. He sings each song twice over, lest you think he never could recapture the first fine careless rapture. And though the fields look rough with hoary dew. All will be gay when noontide wakes anew. The buttercups, the little children's dower, far brighter than this gaudy melon flower. Home Thoughts from Abroad by Robert Browning. Hope you enjoyed that, folks. It's Tales from the Jails with John G. Sutton. Thank you very much. We'll meet again. Hey, don't forget to leave some comments.